Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Those words are the lyrics to John Lennon's timeless single, Imagine. It's a beautiful thought. A world where humans live together in peace and harmony, where imaginary lines don't divide us, where greed doesn't cost the lives of innocent people every day. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure and an honor to be here today. I am very grateful for this opportunity. My name is Arson Fahim. I'm 19 years old. I'm a pianist, composer, and a conductor from war-torn Afghanistan. I was born in the year 2000 as a refugee in Pakistan, where my family had fled to escape war. I was very fortunate, even though I was in a refugee camp, because an organization called the Afghan Child Education and Care Organization sent me to one of their orphanages. And they gave me the opportunity to study at a very good school and receive an education. I lived at the orphanage for about 2 years, but even after I left the orphanage, they let me keep my scholarship and continue studying. It's quite sad that I had to leave my own country, or my parents had to do, and I was born in a different country because of war. But in a country that has been at war for nearly 40 years, where people die every day, even now after 18 years that the Taliban have fallen and the Americans are there, still there are bomb blasts all the time and many provinces are still at war. Innocent people are losing their lives every day. And this is just a small example of the things that are happening. The things that are happening to women, I think it is something that is wrong, and it doesn't concern just Afghans, but I think it's something that concerns the whole world. When one person is suffering, it's the whole world that's suffering. I lived in Pakistan until 2012, and in 2012, my family decided that it is time to move back to Kabul and take part in rebuilding our country. I had seen the movie The Pianist when I was a child, when I was very young, and it had just, I just wanted to see a piano with my own eyes. This movie is about a person whose life is saved. He lives during the Holocaust because he's a musician, and it's a very interesting movie. I would highly recommend anyone who hasn't watched it to watch it. So I just wanted to see a piano with my own eyes, but since I was in Pakistan and all that, it just wasn't very possible for me to learn piano or even see a piano with my own eyes. But in 2012, when I moved to Kabul, the organization that I mentioned earlier, they actually had a learning center, and they had a piano, and I was in touch with them, so I asked them if I could go to this learning center and look at this piano and hopefully get some lessons, and they said, sure, why not? And I remember the first day I went to this learning center, I had just moved back to my country, to Afghanistan, and of course, like many other people, I only knew the bad things about Afghanistan, the bombings and the suicides and suicide killings and all that. But I entered this building and I could hear the sound of the piano, and there was this closed door and I knew the sound was coming from behind it. And since I didn't belong there, I didn't know what's happening. It was my first day. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to enter. It took me a lot of courage, but I opened this door and entered this room, and inside was a piano, a grand piano, and my person who was soon going to be my teacher, Milad Yusufi, he was playing a Chopin etude. At the time, I didn't know what he was playing. I didn't know any of this repertoire, but now I know that that was a Chopin etude, and that was the second that basically changed my life. Just then, I fell in love with music, and I started practicing 8 hours a day. And in about 3 months, FCCO and my teacher, they helped me to get into the Afghan National Institute of Music, which is the only music school in the whole country. And now I've been studying there for 7 years, and I'm currently, of course, playing piano, but also conducting the Afghan National Symphony Orchestra and composing. And my life has been made through music. Thank you. There is a lot I could say about myself and my experiences and how music has affected me and changed my life. But instead, I want to focus a little bit on what music can do for the community and in a bigger picture for the world. Music has so many powers. I'll just say a few. It's a way to express and share emotions. It's a way to reach people. It can bring joy. It can make hard times easier. It can replace hate with love. It can save lives. Beethoven, whose music we already listened to and will be listening to his Fifth Symphony in a while, he actually wanted to commit suicide after he started losing his hearing. But in a letter he wrote that it is my art, the art inside of me, that won't let me leave this world until I've put it all out. Music saved his life. It has health benefits, as we know, music therapy and so on. It is a weapon to fight back, and it's a weapon we don't need to kill someone with. It's something that affects the heart, not actually taking a life. It is power, and it is, to put it all together, a reason to live, at least for me. I'll just focus on a few of the many things I've mentioned. It can bring people together, and this is something very important. There are many examples of it, but first of all, I'd like to mention the West Eastern Divan Orchestra. This orchestra brings together musicians from different backgrounds, such as Israeli and Palestinian and Syrian, etc., and they all come together and make music. The orchestra was started by Edward Said and Daniel Barenboim, who I hope you all know. And they have a book about it, and I read it, and there's something very interesting in the book that I would like to share. In the book, it tells how when they came together at first, they weren't really friendly, or they kind of didn't even like each other. They were trying to ignore each other and competing in a negative way with each other and so on. But after a few weeks of just practicing together, they became best friends, and they would hang out, and even after rehearsals, they would come together and make some music and improvise and so on, and share about each other and share about each other's countries and cultures. And it was this music that just gave them the chance to get to know each other and like each other. And it teaches us to not think about our differences, but about our similarities. Another wonderful example of this is the South Asian Symphony Orchestra. There are people from different parts of South Asia and the region here, and yet all of us come together to make music. And let me tell you, what you are looking at is just the final result of a week of practice. But you should have seen the 1 week that we practiced, how we got to know each other, how we became friends, how we got close, and how we never thought about each other's countries. We thought as each other as artists, each of us playing a vital role in creating music. When we make music, nationality, race, gender, ethnicity, or religion does not matter. We are all musicians creating music, and we are all united. Earlier, I mentioned how is music a weapon, and I'd like to elaborate on that. Fundamentalism is a huge problem. It's definitely a huge problem in Afghanistan, but also in the whole region. In Afghanistan, there are extremists, radicals, who are trying to stop the sound of music, and that's just one of the small things, of course, the bombings and all that they do, and the women's rights that they take, and so on. That's, of course, that's much more, but I'll just be speaking about the music. They try to silence music, but I want to mention Zohra Orchestra. This is an orchestra at our school, Anim, and it's just the Afghanistan's only all-female orchestra. And it's a very interesting orchestra because in a country where women don't have their basic rights, they're either forced to get married or often they're not allowed to study, and they face, like, their own families don't support them, but yet they come together and make music. And, and I'm just so proud of them because I know them personally, I know what they go through, I know how hard it is, yet they come to school every day and they practice and they make music. And even though I see them every day, I'm inspired by them every day. I also mentioned that music is a way to reach people. Of course, one example is right now, I have this opportunity to share with you, to speak with you, because I'm a musician, and I think music gave me this opportunity. But the anti-war song, Give Peace a Chance, written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, was sung by almost 500,000 people on the 15th of November 1969 during the Vietnam War. And during that war, every day people were losing their lives. Yet music brought together hundreds of thousands of people in Washington, D.C., and they all sang this simple song. All we are saying is give peace a chance. That was music that brought them together. Charlie Chaplin, who was not only a filmmaker and comedian, but also a composer who still captures hearts decades after his death. He was what I would consider an artist. In 1940, when the world was suffering from World War II, when our planet was on the verge of its demise, Chaplin said the following: "Not one man, nor a group of men, but in all men, in you, the people have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then, in the name of democracy, let us use that power, let us all unite." Today, almost a century later, his words are just as true as they were. We need to unite and fight to save our world from the greed of humans, just as we needed to do so. And music is the ideal tool for achieving just that. It unites us and gives us power to reach people and to fight back using not guns, but violins and clarinets and cellos and trumpets. It is the beauty of music that replaces hate with love, which gives our hearts something that is vital, and that is hope. This orchestra is hope. And when I play music, I find hope. I'll be playing just one short piece. The name of the piece is Farkhunda, and actually I composed it. Farkhunda was a woman who was brutally murdered in Kabul because she was accused of burning the Quran. This was in 2015, and it was actually later proved that she hadn't done that. And even if she did, was the way that she was killed, that she was thrown off a building, a car was run over her, stones hit, and finally set to fire. Was it actually were doing? And at first I didn't believe it. And I went home and I saw the videos on Facebook. And I was in shock, basically. And I was in shock for a long time. And when I felt a little better, I decided to, I tried to express my emotions about it through music, and I composed this piece. And I expressed the anger that I felt about it. I would like to take this opportunity also to thank the South Asian Symphony Foundation for having me here on this special occasion. And to conclude, I want to quote Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "In a gentle way, we can shake the world." I hope we can gently shake the world through Chiragh, the South Asian Symphony Orchestra. Thank you.